Okay, everybody, this is Sue Frederick, and we're doing our Let's Review Our Soul Plan class 2 through Unity of Phoenix. And so right now we're just going to close our eyes and take a breath. And what we're doing as we inhale is we're inhaling the higher consciousness that we are always connected to, but sometimes get distracted and don't remember that we are always part of the sacred universe. And so as we inhale the knowing that we are divine beings, that we are much more than physical bodies, that we are highly evolved souls on a journey here. And we are inhaling the knowingness of that experience, so that tonight, as we move through our class and our process of moving into the divine realms to experience a past lifetime, we will not have any doubt, any cynicism, any worry that would keep us from having a very strong and healing experience tonight. And we set the intention that everyone in class gets exactly what they need to get tonight from our meditation, from our process, and from their departeds who they may be interacting with when we go into another life experience, and from their spirit guides who will be guiding this process with us and for us. And with that confidence and with that courage of knowing that what lies beyond the seen world is more real than this world, we open our hearts and surrender to this process. And so it is. So there's a few things I want to talk about tonight before we get going. The first one is when I lead clients through these soul regression sessions, some clients, and it's usually people who meditate often, who are used to the difference that it feels in your brainwave when you're in your chatter brain or when you're in your higher consciousness brain. And so they're used to that. So they kind of know with my guidance how to trust going into that quieter brainwave state. And then I have other clients who are not so familiar with that and not so comfortable. So tonight I was trying to think of ways that I could make it easier for everyone to slip into that theta brainwave. We're really aiming for a theta brainwave kind of experience. And the way I want you to think of brainwaves is, you guys many of you know a lot about this, and some of you don't know anything. So let me just explain it quickly. When you're in your mental mind and maybe you're really smart and peppy and feeling quite alert and bright and chatty, that's kind of your gamma zone, a lot of activity in the mind, and sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's crazy making. And then beta is more of the brainwave that we use every day as we're going about our activities, talking to people, working on the computer, etc. And then we chill a little bit and we get into alpha. And alpha is when you're starting to feel calm, might be when you're starting to meditate or something, just that beginning of starting to let things go. And then as you go deeper into your meditation or your prayer or whatever you're doing, you will begin to hit the border of alpha theta and then slip into theta, where there is not minimum, but very much less brain activity. And instead, you're in your consciousness zone that is more about your soul, your heart, your out-of-body experiences. And then, of course, when we sleep and we're in that state where the body does leave, the soul leaves the body for what I call dream visions at night. That's also known as the delta brainwave state. So you have all experienced all of those different kinds of brainwaves in your lifetime. And the more you're kind of aware of them and when you're slipping into them, the more helpful that is. So tonight I have this theta brainwave music playlist on my phone. And I use it a lot when I'm getting ready to work with a client sometimes, or just anything when I feel like I want to quiet the mind. And I was trying to find a way to play it for you. And I think I did it wrong, but I may try it again to try to get it to work for you. But when you play a certain kind of music too, it can put you into the theta brainwaves. I kind of think of them as dreamy, like you're still awake, but you're dreaming. You might be visualizing something you want, daydreaming something you want to happen. You might be, remember whenever you would visualize something that you wanted to happen in the future and get happy about it, that kind of playful vision. That's just really rich in theta brainwaves. It's getting the monkey mind to settle down. And that's where we're trying to be tonight. So if you have an experience where the mind is chattering and it's telling you, oh, well, that's not real, don't trust that, that couldn't happen, blah, 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 especially as we go into a past lifetime, because many of my clients tell me, I landed in this lifetime, I looked around, I saw all these things, and I thought, but that's not right because, and the mind goes down the rabbit hole of logic. So you have to let go of your logic for this experience. And when I ask you a question, and you're not going to answer out loud, you're only answering it in your own awareness, your own consciousness, don't think about it. If I say, look at your feet and see what you're wearing, then you just look at your feet. And if the first picture that pops into your head are moccasins, then you just take note. Oh, I'm wearing moccasins on my feet. Don't question it. Don't look for the logic behind it. Just go with it. And know that you're in those juicy theta brainwaves where you're having a really dreamy experience. And that's why I always say this is an experience where you want to trust your imagination, because when you're imagining things playfully, enjoyably, seeing a movie run across your mind, that's your theta. No, it's not logical. And yes, that's where you need to be tonight. So as I guide you through this meditation to get us in that state, and then I'll take you through the tunnel again, and then you're going to drop right into a significant past lifetime. And we've already put in the request. I've requested it from your departeds and your guides that you land tonight in a significant past lifetime that has meaning for you today, wherever you are in your life. So if you're grieving, then we ask that you drop into a lifetime that might explain your relationship with the person you're grieving for by giving it the perspective of another lifetime, where you might see, oh, well, I have been in other lifetimes with this person, and gee, look, they were my father, or they were this or that. And as you begin to open up to those possibilities, this trip can give you those insights that can be extraordinarily healing. But you have to let your imagination take you there and not try to rein it in or question it or be logical. So there's that. And the other thing is, I got a question, a really thought-provoking question from one of you this week. And it said, can you talk about pets, and can we be reunited with them the way we are with our departeds? And of course, that beautiful answer is yes. And I've had clients, I can't remember who it was, but I've had many clients say, oh, and here comes my dog, and it's the same dog I have in this lifetime or whatever. But I've also had clients say, wow, I'm having a conversation with a woman, and I'm suddenly realizing this is the embodiment of the soul of my cat. And if that becomes your experience, go with it, because you and I all know that animals are highly evolved beings, and they come to really heal and help humanity on every level. So why wouldn't they show up in the divine realms as part of our soul posse? And why wouldn't they show up and show us their true self as a highly evolved soul? So you can be open to that. It's always a very magnificent experience to have that when you cross. Another thing I wanted to say was, Gail is one of my good friends in this class, and she's also a grieving mom, as some of you know. And she long ago started doing a process of meditation and then automatic writing and getting messages from Jake, her departed son. And all of you can do this. I talk about this in all my classes and workshops and books. And so tonight she had emailed me. Let me see if I can unmute everybody. She had emailed me and said that she got a really interesting download from Jake in her automatic writing experience. So I was wondering, Gail, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I don't even know how to begin. I could read you what I brought his notebook in here, but I journal write to him, and then I do a meditation, and then I have him write to me. So I have two separate notebooks, and I have books and books, and I've been doing this for a long time. And this morning in my writing from him to me, he was trying to explain to me that it really is a blink of an eye, that there's no time, that time doesn't run the same way that it runs here. We know here it's linear, like past, present, future, but where he was trying to explain where he is, it's more like a spiral. And it's because he can travel faster than the speed of light.
Yes.
He was explaining that because now that he's free of his physical body, his energy can flow so quickly anywhere at any time and be at any place, past, present, future. That and the real Einstein theory of special relativity is that the faster an object travels, the slower time condenses. This is like a real thing. I didn't know about it until after he was explaining it to me.
So good.
So it totally made sense to me. It totally made sense to me afterwards why he was explaining that time doesn't exist the same way for him, so that it really literally will be a blink of an eye, because time is slow. He's only in the now right now, because he's moving so quickly. He can be anywhere faster than the speed of light, like that song. Is that, who's the group? Is it Queen? Traveling at the speed of, that song, Don't Stop Me Now, I'm having such a good time. Like I was hearing that song. So anyway, that was, I'm probably not explaining it correctly, but that was
that's
the
beautiful
idea.
Gail. That's just brilliant. And yes, it's so good to hear that over and over again, because we all hear it from many teachers, from many books. I wrote about it in Bridges to Heaven, my grief book, many years ago. But we kind of forget, because we live in such a linear time progression. And honestly, time here feels so tedious most of the time, and it feels so long and slow and heavy. And so we start thinking, well, I've even noticed myself sometimes saying, oh, I want to ask Jake something, or I want to ask Morgan to help me with something. Oh, I shouldn't bother them because they have their moms. And then I was like, Sue, stop it. Quantum physics says that they can be everywhere at once. They can travel in like you said, the speed of light. And I also have heard that they can come and be with me, but also even be reincarnating in another lifetime. It's like we just can't get our minds around.
Oh, and this is another big download that he gave me also. You just made me think of it. He was explaining that I'm still with him, that only a snippet of me is inhabiting me right now, making me have my incarnation as Gail. And he was comparing it to a SIM card in a cell phone, how the SIM card in the cell phone pops in and it has all the data stored on it, all your pictures, all
Yes.
your contacts, everything is in that little SIM card. So he was trying to dummy it down to explain to me that it's like my whole oversoul is in the spiritual realms with him. We're together, but I'm only aware of what I'm focused on right now is Gail.
That's
And
right.
when my body expires, my SIM card will pop out and go back to the whole piece of me and just bring back all the data that I gathered while I was here.
God, that is
And it all,
so great. Just
yeah.
brilliant.
So
And, as you're talking about that, I was thinking about things like, this is why when we get a sign, even kind of a random sign, we need to acknowledge that our loved ones and our guides are always with us. So it's not like we have to go through some process. Like we do that because our mind wants it to do it that way. But literally, like Paul's right here, Chrissy, my dad, Marv, Chief Fool's Crow, all the kids. We're even saying hello to Morgan tonight. I just keep feeling Morgan flitting around because he's so proud of all the moms.
yeah.
And Jake, of course. And they are here already, done. So any sign we see at any time is always from those divine beings. And this morning I woke up and I was, let's see, I hadn't even meditated yet. I felt like I needed coffee. So I went and made my coffee and got in bed, and I said, okay to myself, all right, I'm going to drink my coffee and then I'll meditate, and we talk ourselves into that a lot, right? Especially when we're older, and the excuse can be, oh, well, I've had COVID, I'm a little tired, and so the coffee will help. And I'm sitting in bed drinking it, and all of a sudden I accidentally spill the entire cup of coffee on my leg, my pajamas, and the bed, and jump out of bed. It was really hot. And a part of me knows that it was not a random event, but I don't know yet why. And so I'm taking off my soaked pajamas and I noticed that on my thigh where the coffee fell, and I could send you a picture, but it'll feel like I'm sending porn or something. There is a perfect heart-shaped burn on my thigh. And I'm not kidding you guys. I did send it to Carol Allen. She got a hoot out of it. I might send it to you guys, but it's like on my thigh, a perfect heart-shaped coffee burn. And I'm looking at that in the mirror going, all right, you got me out of bed this morning with that. Thank you, And so as we can just acknowledge the divine order, the beauty in every sign and every moment, even something bad like coffee spilling all over you and burning you. And also I needed to change the bed sheets because I'm much better from COVID. So that was like another gift of it. I thought, like, okay, rip these sheets off and change. You're not sick anymore. So it was like, in a bizarre way, it was a perfect start to the morning. So on that note, are we ready to begin, or are there any other questions? Because tonight we're going to see another lifetime. Any questions before we do it? No? If you have one, you got to speak up because I can't really see everybody.
I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to say, Gail, how much I loved hearing about Jake and the connection that you have and how you're working with that. That's beautiful and amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
I agree with you. I just think, I've known Gail a while, and the way Jake comes through is just astounding. He's just a very strong spirit who shows up beautifully. And apparently he's a quantum physicist too.
Yeah, who knew?
Who knew? So on that note, remember, set your intention again, just pause for a moment. I intend to experience a significant past lifetime that will illuminate challenges or things I'm facing in this current lifetime. And so it is. And our guides are already here and they've already made it happen. So let's begin. So everybody close your eyes. And again, trusting your conscious imagination, your theta brainwaves, Not the way you think all day, not the way you struggle all day to be efficient and smart. Just let it all go. And as you inhale right now, you're inhaling beta brain waves, higher consciousness, no need for ego, mind, or human thought. And exhale, lifting up above our bodies. Again. And one more time. And now we begin the relaxation with the purple globe of light, sacred purple light, and a globe of light above our heads, above our crown chakras. And this purple light is so comforting, and it now moves in through the top of the head and moves down, quieting and calming every thought, every cell in our brains, in our frontal lobe, all calming down, relaxing. And the eyes relax and release. The mouth relaxes. The jaw just relax and not in any way clenched or tight. And the throat open, relaxed, and expanding. And the shoulders dropped. The shoulders completely relaxed, the way you can only do when you feel like you're completely alone and just resting. And now the heart area, the rib cage, open, expand, allow for easy breath in the lung and heart area, easy flow of breath. And now the stomach, all those muscles that we use all day to hold in the stomach, the abdomen, all just releasing. And now the hips and the tension that may be all around that area, the sex organs, just release all that tension. And the upper thigh, the legs that carry us with such strength through this dense physical realm, all releasing and relaxing. And the knees open and flexible and comfortable. And the lower legs and all tension moving out through the bottom of the feet. And now we call in the golden light globe of the highest realm. This is our true essence, this golden consciousness. It is who we are outside of the body. And so we call that globe in through the top of the head, and it moves through us, illuminating us with light, with sacred wisdom, with higher consciousness, with God awareness, pouring down through us now, every cell transformed from human to divine, every inch of our body changing from ego to God consciousness. No more story to keep track of, nothing to defend or worry about, just pure sense of perfection in your soul's essence. Part of God, part of all things and of each other. We all connect to that golden God consciousness. And as it washes through the rest of the physical body, we feel a release, a detaching from that. And it feels so light and free and so good. And so now in front of us, we see our first image. It is that beautiful staircase again, leading up to heaven, our stairway to heaven with 10 steps on it. And so putting your hand on the railing, you begin to move up step 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 lighter and lighter, and 10. Now we're again at that opening of the tunnel that we travel between every lifetime, very familiar and comfortable. You may have a spirit guide or a loved one there already waiting for you to take your arm, to love on you. Just allow whatever's happening to unfold. And now as we move through the tunnel, I'll count to 10, and we are moving towards the light at the end of the tunnel. And when we get there, you will drop into a significant lifetime moment. So we take the first step, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. And now we are trusting and releasing as we drop and land right into a past lifetime that holds much significance and meaning to us. Land in the scene and take a moment to let it unfold. Be in it. And when you feel that like you're fully there, you can do a 360 circle turn and look all around you and see what you see. Take note of everything as it comes into form for you. Trust what you're seeing. Trust your conscious imagination. And now take note. Are you outside or inside? And then as you look around and see, take note of what time in the day it is. Is it morning, afternoon, evening, night? Take note of it. If you're outside, notice if it's a city or the countryside or a village and what time period it might look like to you. And if you're inside, study the room where you are and see what you can learn from it about where you might be. And see if there's anyone near you, or even as you scan the circle around you, if you sense anyone in the distance and how many people there are and what they look like. Make a note of the temperature. Are you warm or cold or comfortable? And notice if you smell anything. Smell something outdoors or something inside. Take note of it. And I want you to get a sense of how you're dressed. So look down at your feet and see what kind of footwear is on your feet, if anything. And then you can scan up your legs and see if you're wearing pants or a dress or what you might be wearing. You can even bend down to look at whatever you're wearing on your feet, on your legs, to get a closer look. And then you can move your gaze up and see what's on your Your top, are you wearing a blouse, a shirt, a coat? What does it look like? And take note if the clothing is formal or casual, threadbare. Does it look like working clothes or relaxing clothes, tribal clothes? What does it look like? Are you wearing any kind of adornments or jewelry? Imagine that there's a mirror in front of your face and look and see if you're male or female or what gender you might be and what color your skin is. Get a sense of your age. And be in the scene and let it unfold and get a sense of what activity you're doing. What happens next in this scene? Observe it. Ask your guides to give you a sense of time period and country, location, and take note of it. And notice your emotions. Are you happy in this moment or sad? What is unfolding in this scene for you? If there are people in this scene with you, walk up close to them and look into their eyes. See who you recognize. Someone in this circle, in this scene, could be someone you know today. Continue to let the scene unfold. As you trust that this scene has some pertinent insight for you in your life today, ask to be shown what that important insight is in this moment in your previous lifetime. What are you learning in this moment? Interact with the people and see what you can learn. And if you're alone, interact with your environment wherever you are and see what you can learn. And take a moment to see whatever else is important. And then I will move us forward in this lifetime to another significant moment in the same past lifetime that you're in now. And I'll begin that process. So take a last look around at this present scene. Absorb what you can from it. And now we're moving forward in time in the same lifetime. 1 and 2 and 3. And now you're further along in this same life. Again, see where you've landed. Take a 360 look around and see what you see. And let the scene unfold. Take note of the people around you. Try to get a sense of how much time has passed since that first lifetime drop-in we just had. Has it been 10 years, 20, 1 year? Check in with your feelings and again, see if you're happy or content or sad or angry or afraid. Feel what's going on. Again, you can look at what you're wearing and just see if it's different, how different it is from the first moment, how you may have grown or changed in that lifetime. Take note of it. If you're older, how do you feel about being older in that lifetime? Are you content? Or are you frustrated, unfulfilled? Let the scene unfold and follow it. Trust that whatever you're being shown is important and it will have a meaning that you'll understand eventually, if not right now. If you have a job or some work or labor that you're doing, see what that is, lean into it. Look at what your place is in that community or that society, wherever you are. How are you regarded by others? Do you have a family of your own? Have you had children? Are you married? Take a moment to be in that, and in a few seconds, I will move you towards the last hours of this lifetime as you begin to leave the body. That'll be our next scene. So stay in this moment for a minute. Absorb everything you can from this scene. And now we're moving to the final moments of that lifetime. And I'm going to count to 3, 1 and 2 and 3. And now you are landing in your final moments, or perhaps your final day of this life. And look around and see where you are, inside or outside. Look at your skin, get a sense of how old you are. See who might be with you. Who are the people around you? Are you in the same community, the same area as before? Get a sense from your body about how and why you are leaving the body and dying. Has it been an injury, an accident, or an illness, or perhaps old age? Feel into it and see what you get. And take a moment to do a little bit of a life review as you're in that moment when you're about to leave that lifetime, that body, and feel about how you are feeling about that life. Did you do what you came into that life to do? Did you accomplish your soul mission? Why or why not? Who have you loved in that lifetime? Who have you feared or not loved? Who have you longed for in that life? What are your feelings about the arc of learning that you accomplished in that lifetime? How did you grow and evolve? And now knowing that death is painless because there is no death, there is only a soul quickly and painlessly leaving the body. Allow your soul to lift up out of that lifetime, out of that body, and you are already instantly surrounded by guides and departeds. Before you're fully out of that body, you are already comforted and held by the higher beings, by the God consciousness guides and angels and loved ones all surrounding you, lifting you up from that life, from that story, and bringing you back to the divine realms where you might settle into that outdoor area that is so calming and soothing, surrounded by your guide, your departeds. And sit there for a moment and process what you just experienced. Take note of everything significant in it. Ask your guide to help you understand what that lifetime was showing you that's relevant to the lifetime you're in today. What is the lesson? As you sit in the divine realms, knowing that all wisdom is available to you there, all insights are easy and flow into your soul's essence. Absorb what you might have learned in that past lifetime that could be Oh, helpful for you understanding why your life has certain gifts and challenges in this lifetime. In particular, look at your soul agreements. In your current life, if you're grieving or if you have a family member you have trouble or conflict with or struggles with, ask to see who they were to you in that past life and what the lesson of that soul agreement is. You can speak to your departed and ask them to help you understand who they were to you in that life and what you both learned. And so as you finish learning everything there, finish asking the guide to explain it all to you, hold that insight and that wisdom in your heart. You'll bring that back with you as we begin to come back to this earthly realm, carrying all of that knowledge with you, all of that insight. And so thank the guides, thank your departed beloveds. Now you can begin to walk back through the tunnel. And some of your loved ones may come with you to the staircase as we walk through the tunnel 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. And now you're at the top of the staircase and you can grab the railing. And now stepping down carefully on every step, knowing that when you get to the bottom, you'll be fully back in your body. So 10 and 9 and 8 and 7 and 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, and just breathe back into your physical body and shake it out. And just take a few moments to be back here fully. And if you have a pen and paper near you, you can start writing whatever impressions you have of that experience before they start to dissipate. Spend a few moments writing what you've experienced. Hear that music? Hopefully that'll help put you in that theta state to write a little bit. So, I would love to hear from anyone about if you felt that you did land in a significant lifetime, and if you're willing to share a bit about it. It would help other people to sort of trust what they got, or at least talk about what they experienced. I can't see everyone, so anybody have their hand up, or
I can
there you go, Leslie.
start. Still trying to digest it. But I don't know that the places were as significant as the feeling I had in the first lifetime. I guess the first scenario, I was by myself, but with a bunch of people around, but I wasn't interacting with them. And I was somewhere in the Southwest years ago with horses, and it was dusk, I think. And that felt weird, people just wandering around me, but feeling very invisible, like they didn't notice I was there. And then the second one, I was actually alone, and I was seemingly, I don't know, nope, not going to go there. You're going to tell me my monkey mind is good. So I think it felt like the Pacific Northwest, and there were a lot of trees, and I was sitting on a rock by a creek, but I was fully by myself. And I was so content, just sitting there. And then in the last one, I was in bed, and it was the end of my life. And I don't think I was sick, but I saw my whole family and loved ones there supporting me. So
Did you recognize anybody from this life?
I didn't. I think when I thought too much about it, I didn't trust it, because I was trying to put a face on people, but I could not grasp that.
Yes. Well, that's beautiful. And Leslie, the more you just write a little bit about it in the next couple of days and meditate again, I think you'll download even more information and insight from it. Because sometimes it takes a couple of days to you'll start to go, oh, well, that location, oh, that means, and you'll just start sort of getting these downloads. So trust them when they come.
Great. Thank you.
Would anyone like to share if they did see someone from this present lifetime, and if they had any insights about that relationship? Just jump in if you have that to share. Okay, well, Gail, yes.
I'll share my story, because it surprised me, because I wasn't, you go in with an open mind, you don't know where you're going to end up. So I started on a beach, and I felt like I was hiding, and I had dark skin. I was a young woman, and I realized I was in Africa, and I saw a lot of boats filled with slaves getting captured to be taken away. And I was very scared, and I was taken away from my family. And then when we went to the next scene, I was on a plantation, and I think it was Virginia, and I was working as I was a slave, and I was about 18 years old, I think. And I felt like I was very quiet, very shy. But the plantation owner gentleman had a liking for me, and I ended up getting impregnated with his child, and I died in childbirth. And I think Jake was the child I was carrying.
Oh, wow. That is so fascinating. And Gail, right before you spoke up, I was going to try to volunteer to get people to talk by sharing my story of dying in childbirth from my Apache Native American life, where my daughter Sarah was the child that I, in my current life, who I did not get to raise in that life because I died in childbirth. And then you tell this wonderful story about dying in childbirth, and the child you didn't get to raise was Jake, right?
Yeah, and I felt such a sense of freedom. Like I was almost happy that I died because it was such a sad life. And I
Right.
was but I felt like Jake had saved me because
Yeah.
of him I was saved.
Wow. So insightful. Well, just keep writing about that and keep asking Jake in your daily visits with him to explain more about that lifetime.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what was the lesson in that.
Mhm.
I'm not really sure. I kept hearing like just accepting the circumstances. Like it was just a
Wow.
life where I just had to accept that I didn't really have control over the course of where I was going or where I was going to be.
Right. And you know, what I've learned is that we may have several lifetimes where we are powerless, you know, and sort of unseen by others. And that so the arc of learning that we go through, whether it's in one lifetime or in a number of lifetimes, is about refusing to be unseen, refusing to be a slave. And, you know, as our soul learns and grows, we somehow learn to speak up and speak our truth and own our power. That's one of the arcs of learning that we go through as souls. And it's so fascinating because I've worked with many clients who found themselves in the position of slave or being abused in a family or something. And when they ask their guides, you know, what was I trying to learn? And often they get the answer of, you were trying to learn the value of yourself, even when no one else saw it.
Yeah, okay. I like that. Thanks.
Anybody else want to talk about those things?
I can share. I
Yes.
just want to say I had one experience before doing hypnotherapy, and it was similar to this in that it's so fascinating to me how I can hold both truths at the same time, where I feel like this is true and this truly is coming to me and it's being shown to me, or am I making it up? And then I
Right.
go back to like, it's just
Both
kind of
at the same time, right?
but it was really fascinating because it felt like a lot of things just sort of arose in me, you know, like just, and I was witnessing, but the very first image that popped up was like England, poor, very poor area of England, like in the early 1900s. Think like Call the Midwives, if anybody
Yeah.
watches that show.
Yeah.
But it's like that. And then I saw like an image of like my hands holding like a wicker laundry basket kind of thing.
Mhm.
And then when we moved forward, oh, and also there was a young girl in my name, and that I somehow I knew that she was my twin sister now, Michelle. That was her.
Mhm.
And she was in my neighborhood in this,
Wow.
and was orphaned. So I kind of like was her big sister, adoptive mom kind of thing in this life.
Mhm.
And then fast forward, when we moved forward in that lifetime, I was like organizing people to like fight against the conditions of the laundry.
Oh,
I just
I
thought
love that, Melissa. That's so you. That
and
is great.
yeah, so anyway, and then when we got to the message part, I didn't think that'd be clear, and the very first thing that came up was, you are a fighter, you have a fire in you, you are not here to make people feel okay, you are here to transform.
Woohoo! That is awesome.
Yeah, it was very interesting process. Thank you.
And that can help you accept the part of you that won't accept the status quo. Because that's not your job here to accept that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you. And I'm loving hearing people's experiences and how varied they are.
I know. Come on, somebody else share. Yes, Corey. There you go.
Yes, yes. So I was dropped onto more of a battlefield. I didn't get a sense of where it was or what time period. I was definitely male. I had the boots and a white top. I had felt married, but I didn't talk to anybody, or it just sensed that it was the end of a battle. So there was a lot of people ill or troubled. And so the feeling was that I was there to make a plan and lead them, right? So figure out the plan for everybody and lead them. Sorry.
Oh, that's so good. And what does that mean to you today, Corey?
Well, it's kind of my journey. Well, I'll tell the next story because it all kind of wraps up to what it means. And then I got dropped in to maybe a couple of years later. I was in a home and it was with my wife, and we had a child. I didn't see the child, but I think it was a son. But the relationship was very loving, and there was a lot of trust and respect. And in that situation, I felt like the community counted on me. I didn't really know in what role, but somehow the community counted on me to lead them forward and through a plan. And then I didn't see him, but I asked my father. He died when he was 50. And I asked, what's my lesson, or kind of why he died so young. And he said, so I can learn to be resilient. And so to learn resilience and to learn to step into my own and, accountable. And then I asked my guides, and they said, the lesson is to be that beacon of light for people.
Beautiful, Corey. Oh, that's so powerful. Thank you, sweetie. And thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, we got to hear some more here. I can't see hands. Anybody else willing to jump in?
I'll go ahead.
All right. Is that Pam?
This is Christy.
Oh, Christy. Great. Okay, good.
So I felt like I was a boy about 12 or 13 years old, and I was up on an area out in nature by myself. I could see the woods and I could see the river down below, and I had this sense that I had been there overnight, and I didn't want to be home. I didn't want to be at my house. And so I was avoiding my father. I could feel that. So I knew I had to go home because I had to do my chores in the morning. And so I walked back through the woods and went back to the house. And I felt like this was, like 200 or 300 years ago. It's like a wooden house. And my mom and my father was not there, but my mom was there. And I had great love for my mom and my siblings. There were several siblings around. And I felt, protected by her. And then flash forward, and I felt like Tess was my mom. My daughter was my mom.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that.
And then the flash forward, I felt
daughter. I'm just telling everybody.
Yeah. And then, I was like married and had a child and a pregnant wife, and felt great responsibility for them. And that like I had to work and take care of them. And I went, one of the things in the first part, when I was looking down, I was like, where am I? And I got Nyack, which I told you last week, I woke up in the middle of the night and I kept hearing Nyack River, Nyack River. And I've never heard that word in my entire life. I don't know what it was from. So then I asked where I was is Nyack. So then I realized I'm like a business person. I'm not working on a farm anymore. And I work down at the river, and I'm in charge of boats somehow. Like I have a boat company or something. And as much as I love my family, my heart really wants to be on the boat. And so then flash forward to I'm like in my 30s. I'm young, still young, and I'm dying of an illness in my bed. And I just have this regret that I never followed my heart to go on the boat, because I felt like I should stay with my family. And then my family always felt like my heart was never there.
Oh, wow. That is so insightful, honey.
So anyway, I asked my guys, the obvious answer was to follow your heart. And, you don't want to have regrets for not doing what your heart feels like you need to do.
And do you pretty much know specifically what that means in your own personal lifetime right now?
I wouldn't say specifically. In general, I
So
do.
maybe as you meditate and write over the next few days, there'll even be more of a clarity kind of download about, what that means to you personally and to your family and your life and all of that. That's so powerful, Christy.
Yeah.
Wow, these are such good insights that we get, because they can really help us see how now, like if I'm in a certain situation now in this lifetime and I'm feeling this kind of way about it, maybe that feeling is just not from just this lifetime. Maybe it's because in a previous lifetime that something else happened and I'm trying to break a pattern in my soul's journey. And like Christy was saying, go on the boat, follow my heart, not have regrets, and whatever that means in your personal life. And what also I want you all to realize is I really believe there's no mistakes in the soul's journey. We may have a lifetime that doesn't look that good on the outside, that productive, whatever, but the soul is learning. And sometimes the greatest lessons that we get are the soul's lesson of, wow, I was a terrible person once. And what I learned is I never want to be that way again. I saw the ripple effect when I was leaving my body at the end of that lifetime of all of my actions. And I felt all of their pain. And so in my next lifetime, I came in to be a healer and a helper. Those are the kinds of impetus we get from a lifetime that might seem to be negative, because as Jake probably has told you, Gail, and all my guides tell me, there's no such thing as a bad action. Every action we take, we are learning exactly what our soul needs to learn from it. And that also does not mean that karma is a punishment the way it's presented to the world in some traditions. Karma does not mean that you do something bad in one lifetime and so it comes back to bite you in the butt next lifetime. No, you do something bad in one lifetime and you see the ripple effect of that as you leave your body and you study in the divine realms. That's how you learn from it. You could call that karma, but it's not a punishment. And instead, it realigns you to live better, do better in the next lifetime that you jump into, because all of us are on the arc of learning to eventually become healers, helpers, highly evolved souls, working in the council of elders, guiding people. That's the journey here as we shift collective consciousness. Anybody else want to share? Or all right, Well, I don't see anybody raising their hand. So if you are, please jump in now or never. Well, I just want to say that all of those stories that you shared are so beautiful and so touching and so empowering for all of us. And keep doing the process. You can do this on your own. And next week, we're going to do a really fun thing where in the divine realms, we can go to this area. It's been given a name. It's so funny. I've been there so many times in this life because I've left my body a lot. I want to have my brain scanned somewhere because literally all I got to do is have like 101 degrees of fever and I'm having journeys that are just incredible. Like this vision right here. This was a vision I had when I had the flu and I had a fever and I went into the dream vision state and the guides held me above the earth and showed me that the light was always winning and that things may tend to look grim and that they were going to start looking pretty grim. But I had to remember that the light is brighter than the dark and the light is always winning. Well, that vision applies to what's happening now on earth. So we're all capable of leaving our bodies for dream visions, for meditative experiences, for theta brainwave sessions that bring us out into the world where the guides can give us the most profound insights and messages. Be open to it. Let it take you. It could be as simple as going for a walk, looking at nature, and suddenly you're thinking about another lifetime and you're making some realizations about it and it's all coming through to you. Embrace it, learn from it. Don't poo-poo the woo-woo. I was thinking as we were going through this that you could call this class and this experience pretty woo-woo. And when I was speaking at Helping Parents Heal, I was saying one of the things I said was that we have science researching all of these things and coming up with the awareness that life continues beyond death of the body, and they're measuring the electromagnetic fields and all of that is great, but we can't just wait for science to say, yes, we can believe this, because that could be another decade, 50 years, whatever. Instead, we have our own personal woo-woo experiences like this, that if we have the courage to believe them, to trust in what comes to us when the logic mind is quiet and use it for guidance. Now we are like every shaman throughout time. We are like every mystical healer, every saint, every divine being waking up, even Jesus, the soul of Jesus here on earth, and Buddha, all waking up to that mystical input while they're still walking the earth. And if more of us would do that, we could really shift this consciousness. So kudos to you all. I'm going to pray us out and you can go have a wonderful night. And thank you so much for showing up. So everybody, let's just take a breath and we'll breathe in the gratitude of our beautiful woo-woo experience tonight and everything we've learned from it, knowing that it's serving our highest good, even when we don't understand it all in a logical way, that the insights gained tonight will trickle down into our consciousness and fuel our growth as we move forward on this earth journey together as souls of complete and absolute God consciousness, lifting the vibration on planet Earth. And so it is. Thank you all so much. That was beautiful. And I will send you the recording, but you have to come next week.
Thank you everyone for cheering.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Everybody.
night.